In today's rapidly evolving world, new armed conflicts arise day after day, escalating the rigid situation of political tensions and giving rise to the destructive consequences of wasted soldiers' lives and the suffering of innocent civilians. Leaving their forever homes behind, these civilians in destabilized regions become refugees, knocking on closed borders to beg for safety. Bearing such a desolate world in mind, why do these armed conflicts erupt so often in today's world? Today, I'll be unpacking why energy, specifically oil, is the driving catalyst and propellant of ongoing conflicts and the larger implications of the energy war on a global level. First, we need to take a close look at the century-long territorial dispute between Venezuela and its oil-rich neighbor, Guyana. The dispute between these two nations has persisted since 1899 when an international tribunal of arbitration declared the Esquiva region to be part of Guyana. Despite this decision, the profound discovery of massive oil fields in the Esquiva coastline reinvigorated the historical territorial dispute. Now, with a reserve of 11 billion barrels of oil, Guyana boasts the fastest growing economy in the world. The International Monetary Fund, the IMF, announced that Guyana's economy saw a staggering 62% growth from 2022 to 23. For context, second place in GDP growth was Fiji, but with a growth rate of 20%. In stark contrast, just across the border, Venezuela has suffered an unending, unmanageable economic crisis for almost a full decade. The country was struck with unstoppable hyperinflation and crippling international sanctions, and 7 million people were forced to escape from the devastating economic situation. Families remaining in Venezuela live with empty refrigerators and filthy bathrooms. Clean tap water and abundant gas for cooking are considered luxurious. What people earn from hours of labor is not even close to the price of a single meal. Venezuela and Guyana, two contiguous countries separated by border, yet are facing two strikingly different realities just because of the control over oil production. Such disparity has led Venezuela to try to justify taking back the territory of Guyana and all of its oil fields by conducting a biased referendum and creating the guise they're acting on behalf of the citizens. The rising tensions have led Venezuela to all but declare war against Guyana, and both nations are conducting military drills amidst the high alert of war. America conducts air exercises in the region. The United Kingdom sends warships. Brazil reinforces their borders. The world waits for what will happen next. This dispute is only a prime example of a larger issue plaguing the world. A multitude of conflicts today have the same question of oil and energy at the root of the cause. Since the Iraq War, control over oil production has been provoking geopolitical conflicts in the modern age. Energy is at the heart of the tensions in the Middle East, involving Saudi Arabia, Iran, Qatar, and Iraq. Oil is the driver behind the Russian military complex and Russia's obsession over Crimea. Fossil fuels are even at the core of the recent conflict between America and the UK and the Houthis in Yemen. I know, this wave of recent conflicts might have you news fatigued, despondent at the bleakness of the world. The heated tension of the energy war may seem like it's leading to an irrevocable and irreversible global conflict. However, there is a way out for the world. Although conflicts over oil involve a wide extent of participating countries, a universal yet simple approach can be implemented to solve the issue. I believe we must aggressively lower dependence on fossil fuels, lower dependence on exports from oil-rich countries. Why is this a viable solution? Because we can actually see the solution in action today, enacted by Germany, as it has been decoupling itself from the Russian export of oil. Despite the alluring benefits of importing Russian oil, Germany took an active approach by sanctioning Russia to ensure that the German euros do not fund the Russian war effort. It reopened coal-fired and nuclear power plants throughout its own land, and this was a remarkable shift from relying on Russia to becoming energy independent, something the world should do. The energy war is not an issue that is happening on the other side of the world. Korea is also not free of guilt in contributing to the repeated conflicts driven by oil and energy. Overseas imports of oil account for 92.3% of the oil usage in Korea. But where does all this money spent in trade divert to? The harsh reality is that a considerable amount heads to Iran, which then indirectly funds terrorist groups. Terrorist groups like the Houthis, who launch violent attacks in the Red Sea by firing speedboats, drones, and even missiles. Hence, just like Germany, Korea needs to take more action in decoupling itself from the oil-producing autocracies of the world and wash its hands clean from oil that triggers armed conflicts. Let us not be the cause of global conflicts. Let us not be indirectly linked to the deaths of thousands caused by oil wars, whether it's in Guyana, Ukraine, or the Middle East. We should no longer remain apathetic towards the overbearing power that oil holds in driving conflicts and to the urgency of establishing independent energy sources. Becoming independent energy-wise will not only strengthen economies, but also end the destructive consequences of wasted soldiers' lives and the suffering of innocent civilians. Thank you.